You're good.
Okay, so being 7 o'clock on February 8th, starting the conservation meeting. Myself, Chris, Ed, Colleen, and Kim present. The first thing on the agenda is 416 to 434 Plymouth Street, move wells closer to wetlands with Ken Goddard. That be you? No, Ken Goddard, is he coming?
Is that the guy on the TV? Or?
Oh, is that Ken? Is that you?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah. I just ran it off my phone. So what is it that you wanted to do?
Well, I didn't know how far I may have gone with you on the site. It had wells put in about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we want to extend those wells, 2 more in, one closer to the wetlands and one further away. I don't know how familiar you are with the site.
No.
I'm not familiar. It's 416 to 434 Plymouth Street.
Where's it around?
Whereabouts is that?
Any landmarks?
I think it has the pizza shop up front.
Oh, okay. It's to the left of that? Is that?
Which pizza shop?
Guess? Is it Rodney's Kitchen? Is that pizza shop?
And elementary school.
I'm guessing near Rodney's.
He's breaking up real bad.
Yeah, we're not really getting you. You're breaking up.
It's not you, it's us.
No.
Yeah, it is with
It is what?
Yeah, it's near the kitchen. Remember that land to the left of the
So it's
Rodney's Kitchen? I think that's what he's talking about.
See, so he's breaking up really bad. We can't understand him.
Yeah. See, Zoom does not work.
Well, we can get him on this, all right.
Okay, we're gonna try that again. We just got it. Yeah. So,
All right. Yeah, more straight. All right, I think we're in a better communication system right now, so.
we'll try that again.
Yeah, much better, excellent.
Yeah, so it was near,
Rodney's Kitchen, you said, because he was kind of broken up?
Right, so there've already been 5 wells installed there about 2 years ago. They did come up with some hits of constituents with the dry cleaning, and we went back and resampled those wells last year. The levels are maintained about the same. We just wanted to go and put one down gradient to see if there's any issue of it going off-site.
and you said you were gonna put in 2, did you say? One in the wetlands and one outside the wetlands? It's what you wanted?
He said close.
Right now, we're looking at just putting one abutting the wetlands, so it's about 12 feet off the wetland barrier,
So it's within the 50 foot.
within the 50 foot.
Is there a way of doing it where you can do it outside the 50 foot?
There are already wells in that area. We want to go down grading to see if there's any issues for down grading.
If I'm looking at that little building that's off to the left there, the double-doored building, is the area that you want to go to the right of it or to the left of
I
it?
assume it's the right.
Are you looking, I sent the IRA report along. It had some figures in that.
Do we get it?
I don't know, you might have.
Okay.
All right, we don't have that in front of us at the moment, so.
I don't have it on this computer to send it to you.
All right.
So, if you're looking south of the property in the back, there are 2 wells. One of the wells looks like it's within 50 feet of the wetland as is.
Should we check email?
No,
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's right on the edge. That's why it was placed at that location. That's right at the edge of the parking lot. The area was cleared out last fall, last summer. A lot of the vegetation was taken out of that back area. And there's a utility pole that runs along the back of the paving. We would be right next to that utility pole.
Okay, get the picture up here. Oh, that doesn't help.
No, it's in the back.
Yeah, it's behind it. So you said there's already one within the 50. This is gonna go somewhat close to that?
It's pretty close to 50 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
We would be putting another one in there. That is a deep well also. There are a couple of shallow wells, and these constituents would be, lower elevations, so we want to put a deep well closer to the wetlands. We've had hits in the wetlands on the surface water and the surface soils, but they're very, very low. We just want to make sure there's nothing in between what we have and what we know in the wetlands.
Do we know if it's an area for species of concern or endangered species?
There was a question if it was near any area that had endangered species.
Or species of concern?
I didn't catch that.
Let's pick it up.
Are there any endangered plants or animals or insects or any species of concerns on that piece of property or in those wetlands?
I don't think anything was brought up, and it's another guard, not myself, that did the flagging, and they didn't bring anything up as far as species.
And when was the flagging completed?
Was it the
Something back here about where that. Remember where they were doing
2019.
the pond?
That's too far away.
What?
That would 2019 would be every 3 years that something would be listed, right?
I'm sorry, what?
They had the property flagged in 2019.
It's good for 3 years, so.
Okay.
I think he's still within that 3-year
About
window.
that 3 years.
Yeah.
Because he said June. Was it June of 2019?
June of 2019.
Okay, what's the purpose of doing the well there, or adding wells? What are you developing there, or?
It's just to further delineate the site and confirm or deny that the constituents of concern are making it out that far. We have in the last wells, we just want to go a little further out to make sure it's not any further. And this would be one step. We're putting this one in and another deep well up towards the building where shallow wells are, just to get a deeper shot, because these constituents are the specific gravity is heavy in water, so it will go down to the bottom.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we check everything. And following this, if we find that the levels are about the same all the way around, we may have to go back into the wetlands to put one more to show the end of the extent. I'm hoping that this one shows the extent that the hits are very low and that it is a small plume, if anything, on the back of the building.
So, in 18 years ago, you could put wells inside of the wetlands, but with the updated Wetlands Protection Act and the Clean Water Act, you cannot put a well in a wetland or disturb them.
Right, it says he's 12 feet out.
Yeah, my thing.
You said you're 12 feet out of the wetlands?
We're 12 feet outside the wetlands.
Yeah, and my thing just with the 50-foot no touch that the town has.
It's
I
just,
know we make exceptions, but
this is,
I don't know if this would be
No.
one. I don't know what everyone else's opinion is.
I'd like to see the Ira report and then
We
see
could go out to
their
the site.
engineering and see exactly what they're proposing.
Yeah, we didn't do the engineering report. It's an immediate response action report that was written by partners, and that was prior to the transfer of property ownership. So we went out and resampled to confirm the hits that they had off the first round, and the levels were about the same. So we wanted to just put one further down, gradient, to see if that is an issue further to gradient, down gradient.
So there's no engineering report done?
Not for this step, no. This is just a new well and a resample.
I'm not comfortable doing it without without having the engineering or other paperwork done.
What was the paperwork that you had said that you sent in that unfortunately we don't have in front of us?
That's the IRA report, which is a report of what was found on the first round when the wells were put in.
Oh, okay.
We can give you a report of what we resampled, the analytical of what we resampled, which is very similar to what they found the first time. I don't know what you want for a report to put on. We can do up a plan showing where the well is, what elevations will be at, assumed. If they didn't get bedrock out there on those other wells, we'd like to go close to bedrock. They're about 25 feet deep. The disturbance on the surface area isn't much putting in the well. And it's not a, once we do close out the site, we close all the wells.
Well, that's good to know. Do you have a question?
We have a question.
I have a question as a member of the public. I'm not.
Yeah, no problem.
Project,
Go
but
ahead.
I'm just. Is this area disturbed or is it undisturbed area?
It was cleared out last year up to the wetland line.
And did he have an RDA to clear up to the wetland line?
Did you have an IDA to clear up to the wetland line?
I wasn't involved in that.
Because I know, I think this
The
is an
owner said
area
he had
that,
spoken to whoever it was at the Concom when he did it.
and I think this might have been an issue that we had last year.
Yeah.
That it was
remember it from
cleared
last
too
year.
much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is an area that's already been disturbed, I think, more than it should have been, if I remember correctly.
Well, we went out when they were that area that had become so overgrown, where the runoff and everything went to. I don't want to call it a retention pond, but it's not built as a retention pond, it's more natural. And they had requested us when we were out there that they could clean it out, which that wasn't
And
a
that
big
was-
deal, but when they cleaned it out, they decided to just keep on and clean it. So, unfortunately, they went a little bit too far, but then they stopped and everything, so it wasn't a big deal. But I agree and I disagree. I agree that we should have something that's showing where you want to put the two wells, even if it's just a simple little layout or something, a little plan. Does it? But then again,
That was part of the email tonight.
was it?
Yeah, there's just a site plan showing the two new wells. It's separate from the IRA plan. It's a figure from the IRA plan.
And what's the well numbers that you're looking at?
We're looking at
70?
7D.
7D? That's the one that's 12 foot? That's the one that's 12 foot outside the wetland?
Yeah, it's
And
right
what-
near the utility pole.
Yeah, back towards the alleyway between the bank and the buildings.
Right.
And where's the other one you were speaking of?
So 8D is right in the alleyway. Because those were shallow wells, we wanted to put a deep well there. And the other one is out by utility pole, wetland marker GC 33A.
So it's back down in that corner, because
We're really looking at
there's the
this.
bank,
Okay,
okay? And then Rodney's is over on this side
okay, now looking
of the building, so that's coming in, coming around the back, that building's right there. So that's coming in and coming around the back and driving down where we were. We parked right about here.
Yeah.
This was, here's the area right there, let's call it settling basin on the drawing, right there. That's what they were cleaning out, which we approved. And then runoff area, so it's over on that side. How far is that from the parking lot? Just out of curiosity.
Looks to be about 20 feet.
So actually between the parking lot and that's only like 35 feet, give or take, between the wetlands and the parking lot. So if you're gonna be outside, outside the 50-foot buffer, you'd be over into the, next to the building. Yes.
Couldn't do it there.
No.
gonna head down to my office.
Okay,
When the meeting's over, just text me.
okay.
You guys know how to end the meeting on a tablet?
Are we what?
End the meeting at your disclosure. I'll come back up to get everything.
Okay, thank you.
Just text me when the meeting's over.
Are they not getting enough water now? Do they have a sufficient amount of usable water from the wells that they have now?
One of the members is asking if you do not have enough sufficient water now, if that's why you're doing it and you need more water.
We need more data on the water.
But are the tenants or anybody complaining about any water issues at the moment?
No, this is not a water well, this is a monitoring well, and
Okay.
there are no complaints from any of the tenants. We did air monitoring inside, and everything is clean there. We were gonna do, to close the site, we will be doing one more round of indoor air quality, and depending on what we find on the groundwater, will direct us to how far we have to go with that. We think, based on what we found, if we find that the levels in this next round with the two wells, the one being downgraded being the most prominent, that if the levels there show that it is decreasing considerably between the last well, and we should be able to close the site out, and that will be the final, and we'll close all the wells, along with the air quality data that we get on the next round. It's just a question mark whether that small amount of chemical is contained to that area, because we don't have a clean well down from 5 deep.
So is your deeper one the one that's gonna be out by the wetlands as opposed to the one by the building?
They're both going to be deep. Because the ones up by the building are shallow wells. And the constituents that are from the dry cleaning chemicals are heavier chemicals, and they dive deep. We want to make sure we recognize whether they're down there or not.
So this will make it actually better for the environment.
So what?
This will make it better for the environment, because different standards now, they deeper
I was
wells.
trying to make sure it's not going down so far. They want to make sure it's stopping at a certain point.
Do we know if the Board of Health or DEP or anybody have asked them to clean up the contaminants that are already present?
Did you hear that?
No, I did
Speak
not.
up, Ken.
Has the site been ordered by the Board of Health or DEP or any other agency to clean up the chemicals that are already present that you already know about?
Yeah, that was the IRA plan. That was part of that email also. That IRA plan was just the site demonstrated levels that were above cleanup criteria
Right.
for the DEP. And that plan was submitted to the DEP along with their notice of release.
So,
And this is part of that IRA, is to confirm and delineate where the chemicals are.
so tonight it says a discussion, but did you want to do an RDA to do the wells? Is that the question?
I didn't catch all that.
Oh, were you going to submit an RDA for the wells?
I did not.
No.
And that's what it was information whether we needed to. I didn't know what you had on file. So I
Okay.
just wanted to follow up what was on file from the last round.
So he'd need.
So you want to do an RDA for this round?
I would think so, yes. And then we can get you on for the next meeting if we get it advertised in time. So it'd either be the February 22nd meeting or the first meeting in March.
I'll try and get it in for the 22nd. You have 2 meetings a month?
Yes,
Oh, good.
but I think you'd have to come in, I don't know, as far as
Yeah, I mean, next
the
day.
deadline for the advertising might be tomorrow if it wasn't today. I'll look into that tomorrow morning to find out.
What was that?
The deadline for advertising, we'd have to get you into the Halifax Reporter, I believe, the next Friday.
Okay.
Any other questions?
no.
No?
Okay. So we can
Does
work,
anyone want to meet out there prior to the next meeting?
anybody want to meet there? Or,
I'd love to see it in person if he doesn't mind.
yeah,
Yeah, say 2 of us go.
yeah.
Yeah.
You two want to go?
I'm available weekends and Monday.
I'm available weekends in between 8 and 9, Monday through Friday, or either that it has to be after 3:30 on a weekday.
Yeah.
So either between 8 and 9
Email
or
with the
after.
times.
Yeah,
I can
or-
make Monday.
or
Just
Saturday.
check the schedule for Monday.
Either weekends or if you do Monday between 8 and 9 a.m. or after 3:30.
Well, 9 a.m. on next Monday is good with me.
9 a.m.? Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, then we'll see you there on Monday.
All right, great. If anything changes, just email me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
All my
much.
contact is in that email. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really need an office assistant.
So sorry, guys.
No, it's not yours, it's just.
All right.
How
So,
many months
I just have a quick question. I'm here for a partial release on 301 Wood Street.
let's see what we can do. We're just going to sign for a partial release on 301 Wood Street, certificate of compliance. I think we talked about it before. Yeah.
I know Joe was here on January 11th, but he forgot all about me.
That's okay. Yeah.
How's the road holding up over there after the past few storms and all the plowing?
It's good. It's good. It eventually has to be redone, I think, though.
I used to spray a few houses over there when I worked in a different field, and Michelle and Nick's house, the pothole in front of it used to want to eat the car. It
Yeah.
was so
But where it
big,
comes
so-
this way?
Yeah, when the road meets the gravel.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
Kim, would you mind if we skipped yours and went to the stormwater and did your presentation after?
no, I don't mind at all.
Thanks, just because it's 7:30 now.
Are they gonna be on video too?
What?
Are they gonna be on video also?
Yes. Okay,
There they were.
Good evening, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
yep. So being,
Alright, I was like, I think I hear them moving us up, but I'm not sure.
yes, so being 7:20, we'll move on to the stormwater discussion. Okay,
Get the rest.
Sounds good. So I'm Cambria. We've been coordinating over email and with BHB. My colleague Sarah will also be jumping on any minute now to join us at 7:30. So we are here again, this time to talk about the regulations. I know we've been talking about the bylaw updates the last couple of meetings. Before we dive into the regulations, I did want to briefly give an update about the bylaw update that we're still working with Bob to get that article before the Board of Selectmen. Just due to timing though, if he's not able to bring that to the board, Kathy, we were thinking that it might be a good backup plan to have you as chair of the Stormwater Authority bring it, if that's something you are comfortable with, just since we are cutting it close time-wise, so wanted to bring that idea up tonight,
what
if that
was,
sounds good.
I'm sorry, what was I bringing?
I'm sorry,
The
I didn't
bylaw,
catch that.
the article for the bylaw.
Okay,
If
that's,
Bob can't bring it to the selectmen, if you could, or someone from the board.
Okay, is that something that you emailed me?
I can email it to you, yes. Let me just confirm Bob is not planning to bring it before the board.
Okay.
I just haven't heard back from him in a couple of weeks, so I can include both of you on an email and we'll just pick someone to go forward with if that works.
Okay.
One minor Zoom logistic real quick. My colleague says she's unable to join the meeting, that she's waiting for the host to let her in. I don't know if that's
Can Caesar
she's
do that?
monitoring the...
Would you want to bring that?
We've been having issues today. Let's see.
Yeah, she's trying to log in, the other one, she can't log in.
Hopefully Sarah's in now. I'm sorry, I'm on Caesar's
There
stuff.
she
I've been
is. I see
entrusted.
her name.
Okay. Perfect.
Great.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Now let's see if this works for everybody again.
Okay.
Are we all set then on the bylaw article, Kathy? I apologize, it's a little bit hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay.
Here, why don't you switch
I
it?
was wandering around, sorry.
Sit over here.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah, sit over there. It's more of a direct line into the.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Anything else on that bullet point?
What did-
Can you repeat what you said? We're kind of shuffling around here.
I know, we missed it.
Okay,
Sorry.
no worries. So I was just referring to the bylaw updates, working on getting that article before the Board of Selectmen. If Bob is unable to bring it before the board due to time, if Kathy, you would be comfortable as the chair of the Concom that's listed as the Stormwater Authority in the bylaw, doing that.
Bringing it before the select board?
You need someone to bring it in front of town meeting too?
Yeah.
Yes, it would go to town meeting if I understand you. And we can, Sarah or I can also, we're happy to sit in and discuss it with the board, answer any of their questions
Okay.
on the updates and also be present at town meeting.
Okay.
We can definitely do that.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so now tonight we wanted to briefly go through the updates to the regulations that accompany the bylaw. And I quickly wanted to touch base. Sarah will step through the updates and we have a few very quick questions to discuss. The timeline to get the regulations approved. Last time we met, we had talked about making sure we had the 14 days of public notice before the February 22nd meeting. So I just wanted to confirm that that the notice is available starting today, which I believe means it was in last Friday's paper, if that's correct.
Good question.
I read all the updates in the email they sent out.
I do not believe it got into the
Did it or did it?
paper for 14 days prior.
Okay, so it will appear this upcoming week.
So we need to have it in the paper this Friday? Is that what you're saying?
Our original plan was to go through the regulation updates tonight and then on February 22nd hold the public hearing to vote to approve those. And so the public notice would need to be published starting today to give that 14-day notice
We're gonna
before
have to-
February 22nd.
We'd have to
Okay.
move to our March meeting then for it.
I'm not sure if it was posted or not. So we may have to put that on the March meeting. And I can make sure it
Okay.
gets posted in the next paper, which would be
The
this
only problem with that is that the public notice said that the hearing would be on February 22nd. So is there any way you can contact the paper and change that date?
Was it already sent to the paper?
Don't we send
I
it to
thought
the-
you,
Yeah,
or I
so like
thought
I
you
said-
had sent it?
That's it, I don't believe I sent it, so I can change the date on it prior to sending it to them.
Oh, okay, wait. Oh, you don't think you've sent it? You haven't sent it yet?
That's correct, I don't believe I sent it.
Okay, I don't know that it could get in this Friday's paper either, right? Because is it a week before that you have to submit to get in the paper?
Is-
Or so it's the Tuesday before, right? Like to
it's
get
the
in this,
Tuesday.
to get in this Friday's paper, you would have had to submit it by today.
So.
Okay, are you sure you didn't submit it? I thought Cambria said you sent an email to her saying you submitted it. So
Maybe-
I thought
You know, let me take a look and see.
okay.
I'm no longer signed into the computer.
It's your birthday the other day.
Huh?
Birthday the other day.
Yeah. Thanks.
I told Becca I'd make a shake for you and you didn't come.
Oh, it was like a Wednesday or something. Well, next time we're in there at the same time.
Tell me.
I seen Becker yesterday for hers.
Okay. I didn't make it. They wrote her a note.
I said, I'm your present here tonight.
Very good. I'm sure she loved that.
Oh, yeah. We definitely need an office assistant.
We have executive session coming up.
All right.
Yeah, no, I do not see it, so I can't confirm if it was sent or not.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then-
I think we probably should have been more clear.
I know I
So then
sent the
should
one for
we, I'm
this
trying to
meeting.
think if we should just devise a whole new schedule, since it hasn't even been, or it hasn't been submitted yet, so let's see, if it's submitted, Cambria, let's think about this. If it's,
We can revise the public notice that we
Yeah.
drafted and just update it to be the March 8th
Okay.
date. And then I can email that to you, Kathy, and if that is sent to the paper, the deadline would be a week from today, and then it would appear in the February 18th edition, and that would be 2 weeks. That would give us a full 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then some before March 8th.
Sounds like a
If
plan.
that sounds like a
so
reasonable
yeah,
time.
like right after this, we'll send you that
Okay, and then I
email,
can-
and then
And I'll just
with
send it right
basically it's just the text of a press release, and then just submit it tomorrow, and we'll be covered.
Or I could just
or
sub-
tomorrow or the next
Yeah.
day or
Or I
something
could
like
submit
that.
it tonight,
We'll be good to
too.
go.
Can we
for
submit it
March
by
8th.
midnight tonight and get it done?
No, but I can submit it tonight also, just so we know it's done. If you send
Okay,
it tonight.
perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I think we should have been more clear in our email. Sorry about that.
No, I think yeah, I wasn't thinking 14 days for it, I should have, but,
It's weird because you know, for NOIs and stuff, it's 7 days public
Right.
notice. So, yeah,
But
it's
you're
that
right, we
longer
did
public
talk about
notice
it.
because we're changing regulations. Okay, cool. Cambria, what else did you have before we launched into things?
I think I'm all set logistic-wise, so we can go through our quick couple of questions, and then that will be it.
All right.
Okay, did I miss anything when I was late? Or
No, you didn't miss
Yeah,
nothing.
no.
No.
You're good, you're just trying to.
yeah, we got
Okay,
started
okay.
late.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I jumped on late. I had another commission meeting to attend, and I was trying to two-time you guys. Not everything's on Zoom these days, so it makes it easy enough. Okay, so I guess so if I share my screen, will you all be able to see it, or is it hard to, because you're all on an iPad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's probably pretty hard to see the regulations if I show it on an iPad.
Unless they have a better hookup on their end, better Wi-Fi than the other guy did,
Yeah.
and he knows how to turn the TV back on.
Do you know how to do the TV?
You could text
I'm not
Caesar.
sure. I could probably figure out, but I'm afraid to mess with
Yeah, or else we can get Caesar back.
Yeah, we're gonna text a technician real quick, see if he can get up here. Put it on the big screen so.
The other guy was lagging real bad, so we haven't had one lag in that with their conversation at all.
On this,
on this, so,
but it's on that.
yeah, so if we try it on the TV, it might be fine. If not, then we'll go back to the iPad, but I'd rather have it up there as opposed to looking at it on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth attempting the TV if that's not too much trouble, just so you can see what I'm showing you.
You want me to go see if I can find Caesar downstairs?
She just sent him a text.
I just texted him. So.
I guess in the meantime, is someone going to find it? I can't see everyone, so I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we just sent him a text. He's in the building.
In the meantime, generally.
Yeah.
Or is someone out of the room?
No, you're.
No, everyone's here.
Everyone's here. Okay. I guess I'll talk generally while we wait to share the screen, I guess?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, give us overlap.
Yeah, and he'll be coming up to change the screen over in just a minute.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll kind of give the overview in the meantime. So just to get everyone, a recap. So we just, we're hoping to get this updated bylaw passed at town meeting in May. And if it passes, then the regulations that are associated with it also need some updates. And they don't need many updates because back when we were writing them last year, we kind of knew we were probably going to update the bylaw, but there were still a couple things like we couldn't update if they were going to be consistent with the bylaw. So overall, changes are minimal. They're really just to make sure the regulations are consistent with the new bylaw that's hopefully going to get passed in May. So that's the big picture. And then the other big picture is we're hoping on March 8th, when you guys have this public hearing and hopefully approve these new regulations, that what we'll do is they'll get approved pending approval of the new bylaw. Yeah. So they won't go into effect until the new bylaw passes at town meeting. Because it wouldn't make sense if we had one, they always need to be consistent with each other. So that way they'll both get upgraded at the same time. So hopefully that makes sense, and we'll be in this weird limbo period for 2 months where new updates are coming, but they're not there yet. But I think it'll just be nice to get everything done. So yeah, so that's the big picture. Any questions so far, or?
No, it seems pretty straightforward.
What?
Seems pretty straightforward, so we obviously have to get passed, and these will kick in effect after the, hopefully pass.
Okay, cool. So that all sounds good. Any word from Caesar or?
He's working on it right now. He's putting batteries in his.
They fell out. Didn't realize it until after the fact.
Should I wait for him, or should I?
I'll have this up and running in 5 minutes.
I could wait.
He said it'd be 5 minutes.
It might be just easier to digest with a shared screen, but I could also just try to start. You guys.
I have no objections. You're just starting.
No, you go ahead. Yeah. It's all right with me. It's all right with you guys?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Okay. So, I'll just do my best without a visual aid. Everyone's gonna have to focus. Focus on what I'm saying without the visual aid. So let's see. So the first, let me look at my regulations. Okay. So the first big thing that changed in the regulations is section 4, which is the applicability section. And really, it's the same. We just changed it because we changed the applicability section in the bylaw. So remember how in the bylaw, in the past, the only thing that was applicable was, we had 1 acre of land disturbance was applicable to needing a stormwater management permit. And then when we updated the bylaw, we added the being in the Monpont Pond watershed is also applicable. And then a biosolids application is kind of a third applicability. So basically we just updated the regulations to look just like the bylaw. So now we have kind of three main ways it says, these regulations shall apply to all activities within the town of Halifax that either, and then the first one is, disturb 1 acre or more of land. The second is disturb 50 square feet or more of land in the Monpont Pond watershed. And then the third is result in land application of biosolids. So those are the three ways in which you are going to need some kind of permit under these regulations. Same language as the bylaw. The only other thing to note is that we actually realized that last year when we wrote the regulations, there was one additional provision in the regulations under applicability that we hadn't originally talked about when we were talking about the bylaw a couple weeks ago. And that was the following. It says, in addition, the Stormwater Authority may require a permit for a project of any size which has caused or can reasonably be expected to cause or contribute to a violation of state water quality standards. So what this phrase is doing is basically just giving you all a lot of leeway. If there is some project in town that, for whatever reason, doesn't fall under any of these categories, but it seems like it would really impact water quality, you have the authority with this provision to say, I want a permit for that. So we had it when we were updating the bylaw. We didn't catch that was in the regulations, or we probably would have added it to the bylaw also. But actually, so it's fine to only be in the regulations and not in the bylaw. However, Cambria actually went in and updated the bylaw and sent it to, hold on, we're getting moved.
Yeah, listen.
How you doing, Sarah?
Let's see. Are we good? Are we doing sound on one and video on the other?
Oh, should be good.
I think we're all set. We're all good.
All set. All right. Great.
Well, thank you,
Now we can
Caesar.
See all of you.
You're welcome.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Caesar.
Wonderful.
Of course,
Right
no
now-
problem. I'll be downstairs.
Thanks. Okay, this is great. Let me share my screen then. Oh no, go grab him. The screen sharing is
Oh,
disabled.
Caesar,
Caesar!
come back.
Screen save.
He's on
We
it.
were so close.
Should all set.
You should be all set.
All right, I am all set. Wonderful.
Thank you, Caesar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so, all right, so now everyone can see the regulations, right? So I guess I'll just start at the beginning quickly. So here are our regulations. I have everything we changed is in red or blue. It isn't a color based on whether Cambria or I made the change. Here's the table of contents. So we've got a lot of the same sections as the bylaw, authority, applicability, administration. And I'll maybe jump back to this to orient you when I need to. But pretty much all these changes in the definitions are just to be consistent with the bylaw. There's nothing major here. Just trying to make sure that everything's consistent. And then this is section 4, what I was talking about just now, the applicability section. So, whereas before we just had this, individually or as part of a common plan, you're resulting in land disturbance equal to or greater than 1 acre. Now we have these other two permits. We have the Monpont Pond permit for land disturbance of 50 square feet, in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, and we have the Biosolids Permit. And I should also mention that in the regulations, and this is not in the bylaw, but the regulations is where you should put the details. So what we did is we inserted a link to a web map actually. And so I'll actually let me take you to this web map. So if you go to that link, basically this is for people to know, am I in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed? So, the regulations say,
That's very helpful.
That's cool.
if you're in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, if you're a parcel within the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, you need a permit. But then it says parcels within the Mont Ponce Pond watershed can be identified using Figure 1 and/or the following web map. So I guess I'll start by showing you Figure 1's all the way at the bottom, and it's just it's basically a figure of, this is the border of Halifax, this is the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, and then these are all the parcels that are in Halifax and in the watershed. So, but it could be hard to tell if you're right on the border whether your parcel is in the watershed or not. So we made this web map where you can really zoom in and say, okay, I'm this parcel. Oh, I guess I'm half within the watershed and half not. So.
Oh yeah, literally half.
So.
It's perfect.
What?
Yeah, it's literally half in some properties, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where maybe someone might get nitpicky and say, actually, all the water on my property drains the other way, not into Mont Ponce Pond, and then you could talk about that. But this is at least a way for people to know, do I need this permit or not? Am I in the watershed? Because a lot of times, someone who's not living on the lake isn't going to know if they're in the watershed or not. They don't know which way the water flows. So this way, if you're, this parcel, you probably don't know that every raindrop that hits your house eventually makes it to Mont Ponce Pond. But now you do by using this web map. And therefore, if you're going to do 50 square feet of land disturbance on your property, you need that permit. So that is actually something that is different from the bylaws. We didn't put those details in the bylaw. That's really some detail that's reserved for the regulations. And so if we update that web map, we can update the link. It's not as difficult to change regulations. All you need is that public hearing and you all approving it. Any questions so far on that figure or web map or anything?
I have a question about a word in there.
Yeah.
So if you look at section 1, and it says Stormwater Management Permit. No, I'm sorry, not section 1, but number 1 under section 4.
Oh.
Right where you were. Yep. So under 1, it says Stormwater Management Permit. But if you look at number 2, it says Minor Stormwater Management Permit.
Yeah.
What is a minor permit as opposed to the other permit?
Good question. So that's what these regulations establish, and what the new bylaw establishes, is there are 3 types of permits you might be applying for, depending on what you're doing. If you are disturbing 1 acre, so we'll read this slowly. It says, if you're disturbing land equal to or greater than 1 acre, such activities shall require a stormwater management permit. And then here, if you're disturbing such a, greater than 50 square feet in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, you need a minor stormwater permit. If you're applying biosolids, you need a biosolids permit. So there's 3 types of permits. Then, to know actually what that entails, that's also something that we didn't put in the bylaw, so we're jumping ahead a little, but that's also the details of which are in the regulations. So when you go to permits and procedure, here it says application. A completed application for a permit shall be filed with the Stormwater Authority. And then you'll see there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. 1 says, for all activities requiring a stormwater management permit here's what you need to submit, all these things. For all activities requiring a minor stormwater management permit, this is what you need to submit. And for all activities requiring a biosolids permit, this is what you need to submit. And basically, the idea is that the stormwater management permit is a lot bigger of a deal than either of the other permits.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the small houses, I'm assuming. On the lake, someone's doing a little project, it's a different form of water management, runoff water, than the bigger projects, right?
Exactly. So we didn't want to, when we discussed adding the whole minor stormwater permit in the Monpont Pond watershed, when we discussed adding that to the bylaw, we were going back and forth a little because we didn't want to make some poor resident, we didn't want to impose undue burden on some poor resident who's just trying to improve their backyard or something. But we also want to protect the pond, and so we were trying to balance that. And so by having this minor permit, we are basically doing something without requiring substantial work on the part of that applicant. They probably don't need to hire an engineer. If you're applying for a stormwater management permit, you need to hire an engineer who's going to draw up your plans, stamp them, write you an operations and maintenance manual and an erosion sediment control plan. If you're applying for a minor stormwater management permit, you might put in a rain barrel and call it good. And we'll get there in a minute, but that's the difference between the requirements of those permits.
Thank you.
So that's, and we'll get a little more into that in a minute, but I'm glad you asked because it's important you all understand, what are these 3 permits and where can you find in the regulations what's required for each permit. So basically the applicability section says, if you're doing one of these things, you need this kind of permit. And then here's that phrase I was talking about earlier where it says, in addition, the Stormwater Authority may require a permit for a project of any size which has caused or can reasonably be expected to cause or contribute to a violation of state water quality standards. So that gives you authority to require a permit if you are concerned that some project is going to impact state water quality standards, even if it doesn't meet these thresholds. And then the applicability section also lists some exemptions. So a couple things that, like utility work, even if it's disturbing 50 square feet of land in the Monpont Pond watershed, doesn't need a permit, things like that. So that's the applicability section, but really the only thing that's changed is the 2 new permits that we added. Then we get down to exactly what I kind of already jumped down to, permits and procedure. And that's again where we added the details for those other 2 permits. So just to get into a little more detail so you have a better sense of what's required for each. So for a stormwater management permit, you can see goes A through G. You have to submit a bunch of things. You got to submit your application form and a couple administrative items, but then you have to submit a stormwater management plan. And that's basically the bulk of your application. It's going to be your plan sets, your calculations, your proof that you're treating the water quality of the stormwater leaving the site. And there's a whole section 7 describing this is what a stormwater management plan entails. And we didn't change any of this. This was already here. So here's your stormwater management plan section. You see it says calculation, soil mapping, performance standards. So there's a lot that goes into that stormwater management plan, design standards. So someone writing that is going to refer to this, this section 7. Okay, but if we hop back up to section 6, the other thing that you need to submit when you're applying for a stormwater management permit is your erosion and sediment control plan. You'll notice, I don't know how well you can see this table of contents on the left, but you'll notice that
number 9.
can you what?
No, section 9, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So section 9 is what the applicant can reference to say what goes into my erosion and sediment control plan. Then item E, you need an operation and maintenance plan. And you can see section 10 lists out, here's what needs to go into your operation and maintenance plan. And then the rest is just payment and, administrative items. So, but it is, like I said, a stormwater management permit is for a big project disturbing over an acre, and it's a substantial effort. Then we get any questions so far before I keep launching into things.
No,
Nope,
sorry.
I'm good.
Okay, so then for your minor stormwater management permit, you
This is
have
the one.
less to do. You can see it's only items A through E, and most of them are administrative. But you'll see that item B is you have to submit a minor stormwater management plan, and that's section 8, which we added. So see how this whole section's blue because we added the whole thing because this didn't exist before. And essentially what a minor stormwater management plan is it says you want to submit some kind of plans that either include your site features, your proposed work, your basic erosion and sedimentation controls. I think you all can be loose about, especially if this is a resident doing something in their backyard, you can be a little discretionary about what the plans, I don't think they don't need to be stamped by an engineer, like I said. You can be a little discretionary about how good the plans need to be. I see someone crawling on the floor who is trying to avoid being in the camera, but it didn't work. Good one. Thank you to whoever that was for trying to not distract. And the other thing that's really different is it says general performance standards for all sites. So this is for the minor permit. Applicants shall meet the requirements below to the maximum extent practicable. When determining whether requirements have been met, basically you all should take into consideration whether they really tried their hardest. That's what that's saying. And then the first thing that they need to do is implement erosion control measures. I think that's a really important thing. Because whether you're doing a tiny bit of construction or not, if you're in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed, if there's a lot of erosion, that's getting right into the pond. So that's a big one. And then the second one is implement at least one new best management practice, BMP, as part of the project to treat stormwater runoff from the site. The applicant may select a BMP type, including but not limited to, and then we list a bunch of options for people to pick from, or they can choose something else. But the point of the minor permit is they have to do something to treat stormwater. So we give them options like rain barrels, rain gardens, pervious pavement, dry well, a low mow area. So maybe they just don't mow a strip of their backyard, and that kind of filters the runoff before it goes into the pond. Or goes into a catch basin in the street if they're not right on the pond. So there's a lot of options here. You just want to make sure that they really try their hardest to implement one of them. And then the other thing, if we go back up to the permits and procedure that they need to submit, is an operation and maintenance plan or a waiver request for an operation and maintenance plan. So the reason we did this is because sometimes you're going to have a site in the Mont Ponce Pond watershed that's a big construction project, and they're going to be implementing a big construction, a big BMP as a result. Maybe they have a big stormwater pond that they're putting in. That kind of thing needs an operation and maintenance plan. You can't just put in a stormwater pond and never maintain it. So for that, you would require an operation and maintenance plan. But for someone putting a rain barrel in their house, that's silly to ask them to write up an operation and maintenance plan for that. So that's why we left the option of either submitting an O&M plan or submitting a waiver request. And so you all can decide whether that's necessary on a project by project basis. And I think, so in the minor permit, when we're describing what the minor permit entails, we say, no, Cambria, where is it? Where do we say more about it's probably in this section.
It's in section 10.
Yeah, so in the operation maintenance plan section in section 10, we say the application for a stormwater management permit and minor stormwater management permit shall include a standalone operation maintenance plan at the time of the application. But then, second sentence, the Stormwater Authority may waive the requirement for an O&M plan for minor stormwater management permit applications. So you have the authority to issue a waiver if you don't think an O&M plan is necessary. So that's the minor permit. It's basically putting in some kind of stormwater treatment, and maybe, depending on that treatment, submitting your operation and maintenance plan. Any questions on that minor permit? And that's, again, only for the Monpont Pond watershed, for 50 square feet of disturbance within the Monpont Pond watershed.
No
Nope.
fun?
No,
Good.
No, they look really good.
Okay, great. And then if we go back up to permits and procedure, so we've talked about the stormwater management permit, we've talked about the minor permit, and then we have number 3. For all activities requiring a biosolids permit, the application package shall include, and then this is very simple, a couple administrative things like your form and your fee, and then documentation that use of biosolids is in compliance with all EPA, Mass DEP, and MDR regulations. So all they have to do is provide in some shape or form that they are in compliance with the federal and the state regulations. So this is just your way of checking that they have their ducks in a row. And we don't even have a section to explain what, they have no plan that they're submitting. So there's no section explaining, here's your plan. They just have to submit that documentation. Any questions there?
No.
No.
Okay. So, so that's the bulk of the changes. Oh, but there's one more thing. So yeah, let me just see, before we get into a couple minor questions, I'll just see if there's any more major changes we wanted to go over. Here's the minor stormwater management plan section. And then everything else, here's the O&M plan where we added the thing about the waiver for the minor permit. Inspection and site supervision basically gives you the authority to enter the site to inspect. But there's really nothing major change there. We just, wherever it had previously just said permit, we added the 3 types of the permit. So really, all of this is the same. So that is really the bulk of the changes. It really all comes down to those new permits. The things we did want to discuss were, the first one was, I'm actually gonna go here first. So we have a fee structure, which we talked about last year, and you all helped establish the fees for each type of permit you're submitting. So if you're submitting a stormwater management permit, there's a couple that, depending on what type of property you are, you have a different fee. But we added fees for a biosolids permit and for a minor stormwater management permit, and we made up these fee amounts thinking they seemed reasonable, but we wanted to ask you your opinion on them. So stormwater management permits, which are the big permits, start at $200. So we figured the minor stormwater permit would be $100 and the biosolids permit would be $50. Any suggestions, changes? I mean, essentially this fee the point of the fee is to cover the administrative costs to the town of Halifax.
So this would be I'm sorry. This would be
Yeah,
in
no.
addition, this would be in addition to any other fee they have also.
This is to get the
Right.
permit, yeah.
Because
Say that again, it would be in addition to what?
like if somebody, say somebody was coming in for a simple RDA, and so they have to file, they have a fee for that. Would this also be another fee on top of that for them?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because sometimes yes, but the difference between this permit and these regulations and the Wetlands Protection Act or the wetlands regulations is that this applies to the whole town, not just near wetland areas. So there's going to be a lot of projects that are not near a wetland, so they don't have to apply for an RDA. But they're still affecting stormwater. They're, on the top of a hill. They're not anywhere near a wetland, but they still are disturbing a certain amount of land that triggers this permit. So, in many cases, people will come in and only need this permit and not need an RDA. But you're right that there will be overlap. And I guess in the case of the overlap, unless you wanted to add something that said, if you're submitting a wetlands permit, like an RDA or, an NOI, you don't need the fee, but unless you wanted to add something like that, then yeah, it's a separate permit, it's separate administrative effort on your part, and so we figured it's a fee. But that is a good point to bring up, that there are gonna be people, like someone who lives on Monpont Pond. If they're doing something, they're gonna have to file for an RDA and for one of these. So that is a good thing to consider.
How much is the RDA permit?
I believe it's 75.
See, I wouldn't want to tack on another $100 on top of the 75 and the fee for,
Right.
not filing, but putting it in the paper and everything. I mean, somebody's gonna come in wanting to do something small in one of these areas and, they're looking at, $200,
Yeah,
give or
couple
take,
hundred.
and now you wanna, and now we're gonna look at another $100. So if you could just turn around and say, you don't have to do the RDA, but if it falls under something for the RDA, then you don't have a choice.
Right.
But now you have this other fee because of where the house is now, that, like she had mentioned earlier, a lot of people think they're on the pond, they know they're there, but a lot of them, you go across the road and they don't know they're there, and now they're looking at another $100 fee that's not gonna go over well.
And adding to that too, I'd hate to charge someone $100 to put a rain barrel in, but we do need the record of it for the stormwater.
Yeah.
What if we put in wording that says, if RDI is et cetera, the board can waive said fee
Right.
because we're collecting over here.
Yeah, so if they have to fill out another form in addition to this one, that they have to file, that they have to pay for a fee, then we would waive this one. Does that make sense?
Only the minor one though.
Yeah, the one that was,
We could also just make this fee way lower. I mean, maybe $100 is way too much.
$50.
Like, we could make the biosolids and the
25
minor
to make
permit
it 100.
$10.
75 plus.
And then it's nominal, no matter what.
Or yeah, make the, or leave that 50 and make the other one 50 also.
Okay, well, we have to do that whole nother thing, don't we? To RDA, change the fee for that? Or would be the procedure, change the fee for that?
No,
think
leave
we
the,
would leave
well,
RDA
leave the
and change
RDA
this.
as it, but just change
Oh.
this one so it's not as expensive.
What about if you do the minor stormwater management is 25?
25, yeah.
And then, like,
The other one, keep the other one
equal
75.
100.
So it'll be 100.
So then minor stormwater management permit is 25. So if someone has both, they'll be paying 100.
Yeah.
And then the biosolids permit, should we make that like $10 since they really, or I don't know, since it's not a big deal, you're just
also
showing your
25.
documents.
Make it 25 also. It makes,
25,
yeah.
yeah.
You put it at $10 and people are gonna go, why even bother charging
Yeah.
$10 for it?
The other one for
I know,
the
that's true.
minor stuff,
Can we say it goes up with inflation too? Well, it'll be up- Be up to 8% next year.
But for the minor one, you guys want to do just 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they
Yeah.
don't need the RDA, that's all they'll be.
Yeah.
That'll be the filing fee.
I don't want somebody's grandma coming in who wants to do a little garden or something, or put a new shed in,
Able
and,
to afford it.
you know, she's gonna
Fix
get
it.
nailed for, you know, twice what the
Yeah.
shed costs, so.
Okay, so yeah, 25 for each then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, just to clarify, we're gonna do 25 for each and not have the language about if you're
Yes.
also applying.
Yeah, because it'll get confusing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll just decrease
Okay.
the amount.
I think that's easiest. That sounds good. Okay, great. So that's done. I agree. I think you're right to make that lower. The other question we had was just in the administration section, it says the Conservation Commission is designated as the Stormwater Authority under the Halifax Stormwater Management Bylaw and shall administer, implement, and enforce these regulations. Any powers granted to or duties imposed upon the Stormwater Authority may be delegated in writing by the Stormwater Authority to its employees or agents. So the only thing we were wondering is, so that's basically saying if you had a conservation agent, it's saying your duties could be delegated to the conservation agent. Since you don't have a conservation agent, we didn't know if you wanted to add anything here about the health agent chipping in. We flagged this, and then Cambria and I talked this morning, and we thought, you can always delegate it in writing when you need the help. So you really don't need to add it here. So the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you probably don't need to add anything. But you could, if you just wanted to deal with it, if you do think the health agent, Bob, is going to be helping you in the future, and you want him to have the authority that you have, you could put in a sentence here delegating that authority.
But I think Bob's busy enough at the moment, and I think if conservation wanted more help, I think that the highway department would have, and the board of health if we needed
So keep it
help.
as is then.
Yeah,
Keep it as is.
because it would, if we needed help, there'd be a big problem, and
Okay.
So let me ask you
so many town boards.
one question.
Yes.
So in reading that, we are the authority for the stormwater bylaws,
Yep.
okay? Now, in there, you've written that we may delegate in writing to its employers or agents. The agents, I could agree with, but employees, we're not employees of the town, so we don't have any employees.
Right.
Other person,
We are-
So is there another word that we should be looking to insert there as opposed to employees? The agents one is, I think, is fine.
To its secretary, or would we be delegating anything to the secretary now?
but
Right, I think,
I-
right.
just eliminate employees out of it?
Employees is referencing secretary or some
Okay.
other employee
Okay.
of the town that's not an official agent, but
Okay.
is an employee.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could,
So-
and I think by saying employee rather than secretary, it's more broad. And then that way, if there's an employee who's not a secretary, you could still delegate in writing the authority.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think secretary is probably what we're getting at there
Okay.
more than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we also just wanted to draw your attention to this so that you did know, this is your bylaw and regulations to administer, but you also do have the authority to delegate it, to delegate your authority if necessary. Okay, but I'm gonna leave a little comment in here. Leave as is. Okay. And then what was our third question? We had one more question, and
It was right under the fee structure.
Thank you. Oh yeah, okay. So, under permits and procedure, we have a section called Other Boards, and it says, any person filing an application with the Stormwater Authority shall provide a copy thereof by certified mail or hand delivery and an electronic copy at the same time to, and then it lists a bunch of boards, the Board of Selectmen, Planning Board, Board of Appeals, Board of Health, Highway Department, Water Department. So what you're requiring here is to every single one of those boards and departments, someone filing for a permit needs to submit an electronic copy and a hard copy. And I think I asked this at the last, when we were developing the regulations last year, and we ended up leaving it, but I just want to ask one more time. Are you sure you want to require that many hard copies? It just seems like it's great if all these boards are going to be reviewing the application, but if not, I feel like an electronic copy would be good enough, and they could come to you to get a hard copy if necessary.
Yeah, maybe hard copies to these other boards, but we get a hard copy here.
So the other boards get electric.
Yeah, just electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we get the
Okay,
hard copy.
great. And I think you all already, get 2 hard copies. I think that's
Okay,
the requirement of the permit. Now I'm forgetting where that is.
Yeah.
But I think you all get the hard copy for sure. And then it's just that we are also requiring that, and I think it's a good idea for the application to go to all these boards so everyone's in the loop and they know what's going on. But it seems like it's just a burdensome for the applicant and a waste of paper to require.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree, yeah, just,
Okay, so then electronic copy to all these boards.
yeah, just have them send a copy, they don't have to go in front of them or something.
Alright.
I personally don't even think it needs to go to all those boards.
Which one do you want to
Right,
eliminate?
I think we actually, last year, we asked, which boards would you want this to go to, and I think we ended up adding some based on your input. I can't remember exactly how the conversation went.
Maybe we should go through it again because I would only pick 2 or 3,
Really?
including us. Yes.
So which ones would you want it to not go to? Because
You want to just go around the table real quick?
Board of Selectmen doesn't need to be on there.
Okay.
Planning board should be kept. The Board of Appeals shouldn't be there. Board of Health should be kept. Highway Department,
Hold
dependent.
on. Oh, a little slower. You said.
Oh, sorry.
So planning board should be kept.
Yeah.
Board of Appeals should be deleted.
Correct. Board of Health I would keep. Highway Department I would keep. Water Department I would delete. Building Inspector doesn't need to be involved. And I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
What is everybody else's opinion?
I don't know. I would leave the inspector on there because he's involved
The
in most things.
building, I was thinking the building inspector, maybe, I think it would be a good idea. Because the building inspector probably shouldn't issue a permit, until they know that the conscom has issued their permit. So you do want to make sure you're connected there because, say someone's applying for both a building permit and a stormwater permit, and the building inspector says, go ahead, here's
he
your
doesn't
building
know about
permit, because
the-
they don't realize that you're actually hung up on the fact that they haven't completed the requirements of the stormwater permit.
Okay, let's do this real quick. Let's have a vote. Board of Selectmen, stay or go?
Go.
Go. Remove that one, please.
Okay, yep.
Planning
I'm gonna
board.
do that.
Stay or go?
Go.
I can go either way.
I would keep the, I would keep the planning board.
I would
Okay,
keep
I
them.
think that one, like the building inspector, because they'll issue another, they issue permits as well, right? And so they should be
Correct.
looked into
Okay.
what's happening.
Board of Appeals,
So keep,
Go.
Go.
okay.
Board of Health.
Stay.
Stay.
Yep, I agree. Highway Department,
Stay.
Stay.
Just deal with the road.
Water Department,
Go.
goes. And Building
Okay.
Inspector
Let's
stays.
stay.
Stay.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna delete the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Appeals, and the Water Department. And we're going to only send electronic copies
Yeah.
to them. Wonderful. Excellent. That was all we had. So I'll stop sharing. Any questions or comments?
Did a good job.
Very nicely done.
Question for the Conservation Commission. Does the town clerk need to receive a copy of those plans still? Because I know some, give a copy to them too or something like that, or official record keeping. I just think it came up to that.
The town clerk has to receive, in the regulations, it requires the application form go to the town clerk. So the town clerk doesn't need to keep absolutely everything, but they keep the form that basically says, this is the property, this is the owner, it has all the bullet point information. And so in that list of what you need to submit in an application, the last item is make sure your application form goes to the town clerk.
I just didn't want anyone. I know the town clerk is very particular.
Yeah, no, good question, and I'm glad the town clerk is particular. That's good. Anything else?
No, it was a very nice job well done as usual. Thank you for all the time you guys put in.
Thanks, and thank you all for being so engaged and giving us that input. So, and for bearing with the Zoom difficulties.
I know, it's a lot of, to digest.
So yeah, I guess, should we we'll plan for the approval of the regulations. It really does, I think it's gonna be very quick since we've already discussed everything. So I think we should probably, for this on March 8th, plan for another Zoom if that's okay. It's just not worth us charging the town for driving all the way down and back just for I think it'll be a 15-minute meeting. But then we should plan to come in person when this goes to town meeting and the select board. So we'll save up our in-person trips for that. Okay. Anything else, Cambria? Did I forget?
Nope, that was all of our questions. So you'll see a revised final version from us within the week, and Kathy, I'll send over the public notice with the March 8th date tomorrow. So look at that.
Okay.
All set.
All right.
That's everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy, do you want to go into executive session and then sign
Did you want to do your presentation?
Present about the-
next-
Yep, I didn't know which order you wanted to go in though.
Which one's the quickest? The quickest one we do first, or the latest one we do last?
You should probably do executive session first. My presentation, it's just a small letter. It might not even take 3 minutes.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Choose.
All right, so being 8:30. Oh, well, we'll close for executive session.
All in favor?
Make a motion, anyone?
I make a motion to close our regular scheduled meeting to enter executive session.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session and adjourn our public meeting during executive session and not come back.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.